Baggage says he's most worried about HAARP's ability to interfere with your mind.
Obviously, they deny it, but what we produced was their own documents. You know, these are Air Force, Navy, military documents that actually lay this out. It's their own words, not our words.
You know, Doctor, what you're saying to me is scary. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're talking about something that can be done with mind control to where you can affect people's minds and they don't even know it.
That's correct.
And this is masses of people.
Right.
They can do it at a level where you could be walking down the street and you could get infiltrated with these sound waves and you wouldn't even know that they were hitting you.
That's right. And there's two different ways. One would be transferring voice information, and the other would be just affecting you on an emotional level, which is much simpler, which is easily accomplished by HAARP. The human body and the mind is able to pick a signal out. Like going through the radio station, you're dialing through the station, you get all the static. As soon as you get resonance, harmony between the transmitter and receiver, you get a nice clear signal. The same is true in terms of the human chemistry, in terms of our chemistry, our cell structure, body organs, or the brain.
Jesse Ventura has his doubts that the HAARP antennas can broadcast radio waves that influence people's thoughts. But Nick Baggage is prepared for the skeptics.
Now, this is a device that friends of mine in Germany designed, and we had demonstrated in the European Parliament in an open hearing a cruder version, but it made our point. This is just a standard CD player, and what these are is piezoelectric transducers, and in simple language, they carry a signal that can enter the nervous system so that you can get that proverbial voice in the head. And so by activating this, placing these electrodes, on the surface of the skin, blocking the ears tightly, you'll hear the music just as if your ears were playing it, but the ears have nothing to do with it. The eighth cranial nerve, the part that connects to the brain, has nothing to do with it. It's a different way.
Is that working right now?
Yeah, we can get it cranked up here.
Crank it up. I want to try it. So in other words, I can touch this to my neck and hear it without my ears hearing it, and no one else in the room will hear it.
That is correct. I want you to block your ears really tightly so you can't hear it.
Still ahead, HAARP invades Jesse Ventura's brain. The incredible conclusion.
Wow.
I want you to block your ears really tightly so you can't hear it.
Jesse Ventura was skeptical about claims that the HAARP antennas in remote Alaska have the power to control people's minds, including yours and his. Now, Dr. Nick Baggage is showing him how the HAARP transmitter can send a signal directly to his brain.
Wow.
So what did you hear?
Well, I heard music,
right.
But it's strange because I listened to try to figure out where the music was coming from, and it seemed like right here.
Right.
It sounded like I was hearing it almost through the top of my head or my forehead.
Right. With HAARP, when you start to look at this signal, not just transferring sound information, but just to affect the brain with emotional state changes, is so easily accomplished.
So we got mind control?
Absolutely. In fact, if you go back historically, back to the 1960s, when all of this work really started, the idea of mind control experiments, one of the guys that the New York Times reported was one of those experimental subjects was a Unabomber. And if you remember, he attacked people who were involved in technology. Was that the result of the experiment? It's because the U.S. military admits over 8,000 servicemen alone were used in these experiments. This technology is relatively simple. You can get the components off the shelf. You just have to have the technical knowledge to understand how to dial it in. Just like dialing in that radio station we were talking a while back. In between it's static, but when you get resonance between that transmitter and receiver, things start to happen. And in the earth, things start to happen. Where you already have something unstable, you can trigger that earthquake.